Hello, Tampa Bay. I'm Tyler.
I'm Josh.
We're 21 Pilots.
'97X Tampa Bay Click, welcome to Tyler and Josh of 21 Pilots. Thanks for being here.
Check, check. Can you hear me? Yeah? Cool. Thanks for coming.
Good to see you guys.
It's usually kind of awkward to start out, but we'll warm up to each other, I promise.
I mean, we could just roll into number one. How about that? Our number one question of the day from Bella. Come on up.
Hello.
Hi.
How did you develop the character Ned?
In my head.
And we did the handshake like 5 years ago. I was
Yes,
wondering
you
if we
did.
could do it again.
Well, it was Josh, I remember.
Oh, Josh, yeah.
Well, now you can do it with
how old
Tyler.
were you when you
I
were...
was like 6 or 7.
You were.
Yeah.
I remember that was like, oh, this little girl knows every...
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah. When's the last time we did the handshake? It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, like 4 nights.
I know you guys think that 4 nights. I was
That's
gonna
longer
say.
than normal.
I know you think that maybe every time Josh and I see each other for the first time that day that we do it, but we don't. We should.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or like a final thing before going to bed.
Yeah. Good night, dude.
I guess maybe I say that because that's how we came up with it. It was like just couldn't sleep one night and
Yeah.
we were like in some random city and hey, let's come up with a handshake.
Yeah. Do you remember it? Can you do it?
I remember it.
All right.
Can we
Do
do
you
it?
remember
Yeah.
it?
I think I remember it.
Go ahead.
Where's all the cameras? We'll get it on the camera.
Make sure. Yeah. Get all the angles here. Okay. Yep. That's right. Boom. Everyone. Yeah.
You were quicker than I was too.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
All right, Tara.
Hey guys.
Tara.
Hey. All right, so my question is, if you could write one new law that everyone had to obey, what law would you create?
Oh wow.
I hate laws. I want to get rid of some.
I love them.
All right, well, you write the law, and then I'll get rid of it.
Man, gosh, I don't know how deep I want to go here. I do think that there should be something installed in cars that like disables your phone in some way.
Yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
I'm tempted to use my phone when I drive, and I feel like I try to be smart about it, and I feel like if that's probably everyone. Everyone tries to.
It is a law to not be on your phone, though.
Right, but I'm talking about there's like aspects of your phone that you can still access.
Sure.
It's they make things for it to hang right in front of you, and I don't know. I think that there's just a lot of wrecks that are caused from that.
So make it more of a law?
You're saying, but what I'm saying is there's what I see in my head is a piece of technology that the car does to the phone that disables it, so it's not even able to be used, not just self-control. Are you arguing with me?
No, I'm wondering what the law is. But I like the idea.
That car manufacturers would have to install this technology.
Okay. I'm on board.
And you would somehow hack it, I'm sure, and break that law.
I hate stupid laws.
So
that sounds like a good law.
He would make a law against stupid laws, and mine would be the first to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Good answer.
No, I like that law. I don't like the use of phones in cars unless you're taking a selfie. Then it's sweet.
Then it's sweet. It's sweet. This is sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question.
Thank you.
All right, Charles, and then Heather will be after him.
Okay.
You can move that thing.
Go ahead. Just rip it down.
Yeah. Just give it some force.
Way to lie,
There you go. Sweet.
Okay.
This is an ongoing Twitter debate. Which goes first, the cereal or the milk?
I don't know if I know anyone who debates that. Right? I mean, I know that that's a interesting question. I appreciate it. But are you suggesting that you put your milk in first?
No, I put in the cereal because that's the most obvious thing.
Right, okay. Oh, well, then we're on the same page, my friend. Yeah, I think that cereal goes first.
I've never really seen that debate either.
I think that it's actually very important, the ratio from cereal to milk. I'm a lower milk ratio than most people would think. I think that the over doing it with the milk kind of ruins the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot easier to judge how much milk goes in after the cereal's already there than to judge how much cereal goes in after the milk is already there.
But at first, when you're pouring the milk, though, it's a mystery. You're like, I still see the cereal. It's not moving.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I'm putting in right now. And then all of a sudden, it starts to expand, and you're like, oh, no. That was too much.
I feel like some cereal is more buoyant than others, but you don't really know. So if you already have the milk there and then the cereal goes in, you don't know how much is floating and how much is sinking, and milk's not clear. So how much cereal is below the surface? Whereas before, if you put the cereal in, you know exactly how much cereal you're going to eat.
You're blowing my mind right now, man. Good question. Way to get things stirred.
Yeah. I hope we settled that debate online.
Heather. And then it'll be Thomas.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi. So I'm a mom. So and I know you're a new dad.
Oh yeah.
What do you love most, and what are you looking forward about being fatherhood life, and you being like uncle life?
He's an uncle?
For having involvement,
We're gonna call him Grandpa Josh.
I go straight to that.
Yeah. Say hi to Grandpa Josh.
Yeah. We're the same age.
I know that that's a thing, to have aunts and uncles that aren't actually your aunts and uncles. I know that my wife's side of the family, she'd be like, oh, that's my aunt, Susie. I'm like, oh, yeah, how's she related? Oh, she's not related to us. So then how's she your aunt? Oh, that's just how I was introduced to her when I was 0. So I know that's a thing. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Like my friends, like Josh, am I going to say, hey, say hi to Uncle Josh? Like, do you want to be Uncle Josh? Or do you want to just be like, cool Josh? Grandpa Josh. I don't know.
I never had any aunts or uncles that weren't related to me.
Really?
So, yeah, I also don't fully understand it. But I do understand, like, when, if you have, like, a close friend, and that's the easiest. I don't know.
I guess we'll figure it out when it happens.
Whatever feels natural when they start understanding life.
Yeah.
When she does.
It's a good question. I'll figure it out.
But I'm looking forward to trying to get him to pour milk first.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, Thomas. And then Kat will be after that.
Hello, y'all.
What's up, man?
A lot of height differences.
Yeah.
A little bit. All right.
That works.
It's not
We can do
expensive.
it.
That's fine. Just kidding.
As far as y'all's preferred handshake goes, do you prefer like a formal handshake or like a fist bump?
That's a good question, actually. I prefer not touching people, honestly. If it's an option on the table, I'll take that every time. Just like the hi and back away. But a lot of times you see someone, you're like, oh, they're going to want to touch. And so you have to figure it out. Do you go in for the handshake? Do you hug? Do you bro hug, which is kind of like this and then this? It's like we're bros and now we're more than bros and then we're back to bros. I think the handshake is, I think people are putting too much weight into the handshake. Like I'm supposed to hurt them. Like I have control of my life. I'm going to squeeze really hard to show you that I'm, superior to you or something. I do get my hand hurt a lot when people shake my hands. And especially if you wear a ring. I know, ladies, you've been wearing rings longer than I have, but when I wore my wedding ring, or I've noticed that, well, actually it's on my left hand. No one does that.
happened.
Why do I do that? Sometimes I'm holding things in my right hand and I'll go with the left and then they squeeze it and then they hurt my hand. Anyway, this is such great topics of discussion, guys.
What I have learned is whatever you want to do, just you got to go first.
Yes.
Initiate it. Like I would probably start, if you were walking toward me, I'd probably start doing it now. Like I would be like, yo.
Right.
And then that way it's like, because
he
first
knows.
of all, there's so many times that you like, there's like the, and then if you do, like, I probably would go fist bump over handshake, because there's so many times where it's like.
Yeah, early broadcast. Broadcast as early as you can so that they can pick it up and then they can.
Then they just follow.
Yeah.
So.
That perfectly makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
We know.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, and then we'll have Madison.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
First time I saw you was Midtown Music Fest, and
wow.
I'm sure it's going to be just as wonderful as tonight.
Maybe not.
Well, you know.
Yeah, you're not sure.
Yeah, you don't know.
It's a festival, but, you know, I get to meet you, so it's
Right.
like a whole give or take.
Yeah.
So what career path would you guys have gone into if you didn't make it big?
I hadn't thought about that.
Well, I guess you didn't have to.
I was working at Starbucks. That was my last job, so if I would have just advanced
That was your
in
last
the
job.
coffee business.
Yeah.
What is the top of that? Like inventing coffee flavors?
Yeah, what is the top of that?
I think you reached the top of that.
Yeah.
Barista.
Yeah. I think that's, I mean, I guess you become a manager or something. I wasn't a manager.
So you dive back into the game? The bean game?
That's what I'd probably want to call it. I'd probably tell people that too. I work with beans.
I'm in the bean game. You carry a briefcase around? With
yeah,
beans
full
in
of
it?
beans.
Yeah.
Loose beans.
Yeah. Yeah, so no, good answer. I don't real estate. Something is like the least inspiring thing you could think of. So this is what
That's
I do
so
now.
boring.
Maybe in a different life I would be, no offense to real estate agents, it's just a very mundane job, which kind of interests me. That's it.
I can see that. Yeah, I could see that.
right.
I probably, yeah, I would probably buy a house from you.
Thanks, man.
If I like got to a level with my business where where I buy a house.
Like when you're selling me coffee, I'd be like, "Are you looking for a house?
Yeah.
Do you want to start a band?"
And then here we would be again.
Yep.
Madison, and then it'll be Chris after that. Chris A.
Hey.
Hello.
Okay. So what's your favorite Halloween costume you've ever worn?
Favorite Halloween costume we've ever worn? The first time that Josh and I ever went shopping together for a show, I was like, okay, what do we wear? We went to a Halloween store. I think it was June.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were putting out the most updated stuff. But that's where the skeleton came about. It's where actually Josh bought a gorilla suit first.
He bought the skeleton, I bought the gorilla costume, and then after like 2 shows, I was like, "You were right." And I switched over.
He almost passed out a few times.
Yeah.
In the suit.
Yeah, he made the right call.
And I actually grew up always being a football player, but it was because I was playing football as a little kid. My mom was like, "Just put your pads on, go ask for candy." And so I was always the football player. I never put too much creativity into it.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, did you ever dress up?
Not really. I think once I was probably a cowboy.
Maybe a barista?
I just put on a green apron and
A
run around the
briefcase.
neighborhood in a briefcase.
With beans.
Yeah.
Cool.
Chris A, and then it'll be Taylor.
Hi.
What is your, I don't know if you can hear me. What is your most personal song off of Trench?
Do you have one? It's you.
Isn't
it Morph because your name's in it?
It's personalized. Yeah. That's always so hard when you're just kind of like asked to choose one.
I think for me it changes a lot.
Top 3?
Top 3.
That might be
Then
harder.
your one question just turned into 3 questions.
Yeah.
No, I think Leave the City is always going to be special to me. I like listening to songs like that bring you along and then kind of drop you off and make you kind of come up with the answer yourself. I grew up loving songs like that sounded like that were kind of arranged like that. And then the lyrical content just kind of being exactly where I was in that moment as I was writing the song. I think a lot of Trench is personal to me just because I was in a position to be writing and recording at the same time. And what I mean by that is a lot of people who write songs and record songs, they'll write it in a different time of their life or different time of day even. They'll write the idea, capture the idea crudely, whether it's like on a voice recorder or just remember it or write it down on paper, and then go record it later, whether it's in a legitimate studio or whatever they're doing. For me, I had the luxury of being able to record in a studio in my basement where I could also write. And so the moment that those lyrics are being formed is also the moment that I'm putting it down and recording it into a microphone. And I've always felt like those songs for me always meant more, and all of Trench was that. And so that's why it's kind of tough for me to pick just one.
Okay. Cool. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Taylor, and then Cameron will be after her.
Hey.
Hi guys.
Hi.
What's the first thing you do when you get off stage?
Well, drink some water.
It's true.
That's
We
actually
do drink
probably
water
the
right
first
away.
thing, and then we just like meet in a hallway and talk with like 5 or 6 of our people about the show.
We have our road manager gives us water when we walk off stage. He's got water for us. And does he give you a towel?
I get a towel.
I don't get a towel.
But I also, I sweat more, and then I have confetti stuck to my back every night. So if we're standing I finally told him, because we'll stand for like 15 or 20 minutes in the hall talking about the show, and I'm like peeling confetti off my back, and also I'm still sweating. So I'm like, I should just like take care of this right away. And it took me a while to figure that out, but now I have a towel. I'll ask him for a towel for you too.
It's okay. I'll use yours when you're done with it.
Why don't you use it first? Because it's really not going to.
It's not. I don't sweat that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the water actually I forget where it was, but there was a show that was almost perfect. Everything went right. I walked off stage like yes. I was handed the water, opened it up, took a huge chug. Sparkling. Ruined the whole show that had just happened.
Yeah.
And we were so close to having a perfect show, and then all of a sudden I've got that just insane. I don't know. I like carbonated drinks, but I don't like sparkling water. You like sparkling water. You're into it.
I like any water.
And there's water in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's my
Pepsi,
wife always gives
Coca-Cola.
me, she doesn't like when I drink Red Bull. She's like, you need water. I'm like, there's a lot of water in Red Bull. If my argument is if my body is like 80% water, whatever the stat is, then a can of Red Bull's got to be a lot of water.
Yeah.
It's got to be like 90 something.
Hopefully.
So we almost didn't have to have a meeting that day, but then we had one note.
Yep. Still not sparkling.
Yeah.
Ew.
So.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cameron, and then it'll be Donald.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
All right. Were there any classic rock stars that inspired you guys as a band?
No, we
Yeah.
watched a lot of concerts on whether there was a channel in my basement. I remember we watched a lot of different shows and pulled up stuff online. Yeah, I mean, bands like Muse and The Killers and Coldplay, like we watched them from afar. Never really went to. I did go to a Killer show, which was great. When you say classic rock star, it almost sounds like you're talking about like the '80s or something, and it's not. It doesn't really vibe with me, I guess. But, but yeah, no, I think that Josh and I were very. I don't know. We wanted to learn, and kind of growing up in the age where you could look up videos of other people putting on shows. I don't know. We did a lot of homework. We dove in. We wanted to figure out what we wanted to do, how we wanted to come across. But a lot of times it was what did we not want to do. There's kind of a follow the leader that happens in music in general, specifically in a live show, where it's like, well, that's how you open a show. That's what you do in the middle of the show. That's how you close the show. That's how you act on stage. That's something you do in between songs. And a lot of times the reason why you do all those things is because it's been proven to work, to go to black in between songs. It makes sense. It kind of cleanses the audience's palate and like gets you ready for the next, introduction of the next song. But then there's other things like just the type of set list and what you can say to a crowd and how to treat them and how to interact with them and how much control you give them, that we felt like, we don't want to just do what everyone else is doing. We want to do what we feel like we would want to see if we were to go to a show. So it's a healthy balance of, adopting things we've seen, but also trying to do something different, something that we weren't seeing anyone else do.
But I think it started out us watching shows and like we're like, oh, let's try and like take notes and learn from people. And then when we would have conversations and like recap, a lot of it we found was just like, I wouldn't do that, or I don't really like that very much, or we should do something maybe like say something a little differently or whatever. And it kind of just turned into things that we would maybe avoid. And then kind of like circled around and was like, oh, let's do it this way instead. Right. So I don't think we really necessarily set out to just be like, let's pick apart everybody the way that everybody does things. But yeah,
it's fun to be negative.
it's kind of easier.
It's kind of a blast.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Donald, and then it'll be Monica.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, after your first big music paycheck, what was the first cool thing you bought yourself?
I got a bank account.
Got to cash that check somehow.
First big thing?
Or first cool thing, your favorite thing?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I'm trying to remember.
I think the thing that felt the best, I didn't have like, I didn't really go to school, so I didn't have student loans, but I owed my dad a bunch of money just because he covered for me a lot. I don't think either of us had like a lot of, it wasn't like an overwhelming amount of debt, but I do remember the moment where it was kind of just like, here you go. And it just kind of like covered everything that he had kind of helped me out with. And to me, that was the biggest moment, I think, when I was kind of just clear. And it was, I think, a moment for him, too, where he was like, oh, you've been just banging around the drums in my basement, and now it's done this. So it was a cool moment.
I actually, not to piggyback off that, but the student loan thing was a good moment for me as well. And, with my wife, too, being able to, I actually offered to, neither of us had a lot of debt, but we were just dating at the time, and I knew I was going to marry her, and I knew that like this loan thing was just going to build, and having the opportunity to get rid of that was such a cool feeling, but also made me mad that you expect to hand cash into something and then get something out of it, when really a student loan situation where you're not using the education. Like, I went to school for 2.5 years in college, and obviously I'm not using any of it. What a waste of money. I did go about it as smart as I could, going to like a branch campus and trying to, pay for it each class separately. I don't know, man. College is definitely important for a lot of people, especially if you know what you want to do and if what you want to do requires that. But it really weighed on me to walk into class the beginning of each quarter with a check and then hand the check over to the lady at the front desk who was probably raking it in. And sit down in class and then be taught stuff, and it's like, man, this just doesn't feel right for me. So when I was able to drop out, we were able to quit our jobs. All of a sudden, we were able to make money playing music. That was one of the things that, I don't know, was very rewarding. Almost like what Josh was saying, this thing that we thought was maybe just this dream, and we weren't sure how crazy we were coming across to people, especially our family, as we explained our dream to them. It wasn't like a told you so type of thing, like rubbing it in their face or anything, but it was, I don't know, a moment that felt validating.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right,
We bought validation.
Monica, and then it'll be Caitlin.
Hello.
Hi.
So describe the first moment you heard your song on the radio, and what song was it?
It was Holding On To You, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I think we heard that it was going to be on the radio, so we actually pulled up a website of that station that was streaming. So it wasn't actually like in a car.
Yeah, it
on
was
a
on
laptop.
the laptop.
But we were all playing a show. I forget which city it was. Do you remember which city?
Somewhere in Michigan.
And we all gathered
college.
around in this tiny room and pulled up the laptop, and was it? I forget who. They said, like, "Here's a song," and I don't know. It was a really cool. What's funny about the radio, and not to downplay, obviously, radio, because here we are, but when you hear your song on the radio, because you don't know how many people are listening, the endless possibility just seems infinite to you. Like, there's probably 5 million people listening right now. It's not probably that much, but it feels like that, especially. And so it was a moment that I won't forget. I can see the room. We were sitting in it was like booths or something, like weird chairs that we were sitting on listening to it.
I think I have a photo from when we were listening to it on my phone.
Okay, thank you.
Cool feeling.
Caitlin, and then it'll be Danielle.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi.
You guys look great.
Thank you.
So
You
my
do
question, thank you. My question for you guys is, what comes first when you're writing? Is it the lyrics or the music that comes behind it? Which comes first?
I will say that it can be different. It can change. I think that any time that you hear me delivering a vocal in the style of rap, a lot of times it's because I've already written the lyrics, and I've kind of written a poem that has a kind of start and end to it. And I found that it was always tough to take a poem and fit it into a sing-songy melody, because you kind of don't realize how many syllables you're taking up while you're rapping or while you're writing a poem. And when you're singing something, obviously you're stretching that syllable out. So that's why I actually started rapping in the first place, was I had these poems that I wanted to get into these songs. So anytime you hear that style, it's usually the lyrics first. But a lot of times it starts with music. Any other time usually is starting with either a chord progression or just a simple demo version of an idea of a drum pattern or something. So it can change.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks. I think I found the video. I think I found the video of the radio station that played it when we were listening to it.
You found it when?
Just now, when you were answering that question.
You were on your phone while I was talking?
Yeah.
That's so rude, dude.
I've heard you answer that one before.
Yeah, it's true.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Danielle. I used to be there, and now I'm here, and it's strange.
Yeah.
Could you build your favorite taco, each of you?
Yeah.
What would it be?
Yeah, we can.
Can you expand on that, please?
All right. Well, do you have taco gear?
Yeah. What do you want? Well, let's start at the base. Would you do a flour tortilla, or would you do a corn tortilla?
Flour.
Okay.
Soft. I actually had a hard taco last night. It wasn't that bad. But for a long time, I was very against them. I do think that when you're making your own taco or burrito, that you can mess up the ratio very quickly. I think that when you're selecting your meat or whatever your base is, whether it's rice and meat or just rice or just meat, whatever, you get really excited because you see this wide open space and you think, oh man, all this I can fill up with. That's where everything goes wrong. When you put too much of that base on, it doesn't leave room for everything else. And you have to really, you got to visualize that burrito being rolled, and you can't fill it with too much. You know, if you open up a burrito or a taco from somewhere professional, you'll see that's actually not a lot of meat, but it works. So don't overdo the meat or don't overdo the base is my rule of thumb.
You just get less and less of each ingredient as you go.
Yeah.
Because you've put too much in.
Yeah, like you were looking forward to the, I know this is a polarizing one, but sour cream.
No, it's not polarizing at all.
I think
delicious.
it is. Does anyone not like sour cream?
There's a few people who quickly...
Usually if you don't like sour cream, you actually really, really don't like sour cream.
Yeah.
We just probably can't be friends. I enjoy it.
I start with the sour cream.
That's your base?
And then I roll up the
Yep, and I use
tortilla
sour cream to tape the tortilla to itself when it's too large.
Oh.
It's a good trick. You just dip it in and it holds it together.
I'm a big believer in when you're building the taco or the burrito to leave space at one end. So don't evenly,
because it'll all fall out.
Well, what I'm saying is leave room for that extra fold at the end.
Right.
So your meat can start on one end, but don't take it all the way to the end.
Okay.
Your rice can start at one end, but don't take it all the way in.
Do you start it at the same end?
Well, what I'm saying is you want all freedom on one end.
Okay.
All things free on one end so that you can kind of give that extra so that when you're holding it, you don't have to do one of these. And when you're done, having a bunch of stuff in your hand, you don't want that.
Thank you.
So it kind of is more of a burrito than a taco in that sense.
Even tacos.
You do the fold?
I do.
But isn't the difference between a taco and a burrito is that just one of them is open?
That's way too deep for me, man.
Thank you, guys.
And Chris R. will be our last question.
Hi.
Hey.
What's up?
What's up? So how did it feel the first time you realized that your music was having a major impact on your fans?
Good.
Good.
Pretty standard feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that a question like that obviously warrants a compassionate answer, which is the truth is that it changes you. You kind of always had a sneaking suspicion of how powerful music could be because of what it did to you. But then when you create music that impacts other people, I think that's when you see the full scope of how powerful music really is. And we're lucky enough to get to see it from that side. And not everyone gets to. But other than that, pretty standard,
Yeah, man, I feel you. I feel you.
Everyday stuff.
Okay.
No big deal.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I will say also that I think it's been good for us, I think, to realize that there is responsibility. It's kind of accountability as people to just kind of try and constantly make the right decision. As humans, you don't always make the right decision, but to realize that there are people that can rely on us sometimes, I think is good perspective for us to keep.
That's awesome. #D.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
One more time, Tyler and Josh, 21 Pilots.